that she made her sister-in-law, Kate Middleton, cry in 2018.
The reverse happened.
Meghan says during the preparation of her wedding to Prince Harry, there was a confrontation between she and Kate over flower girl dresses.
It made me cry, and it really hurt my feelings. And I thought in the context of everything else that was going on in those days leading to the wedding, that
Meghan Markle stepped out in a look that many royal watchers instantly connected to Catherine's signature style. Just 3 months after the Princess of Wales made headlines in a polished coat dress, Meghan appeared in an outfit that looked incredibly similar. Fashion commentators quickly pointed it out. The silhouette felt the same. The color palette matched. Even the accessories followed the same formula. The overall energy? Nearly identical. And that coat dress moment was only the beginning. Style analysts have since highlighted more than a dozen instances where Meghan appeared to echo Catherine's most recognizable looks, public causes, and carefully shaped image. One particular example stood out so strongly that even some of Meghan's own supporters questioned it. They felt the recreation came across as forced rather than inspired. Another moment went even further, drawing attention from palace insiders who reportedly couldn't ignore how close the comparison seemed. That's when the conversation shifted from simple fashion overlap to something that made neutral observers pause. Was this admiration, strategy, or something more calculated? Let's rewind to the outfit that sparked the biggest reaction, the coat dress moment. Catherine has long favored designs by Catherine Walker, a British fashion house closely associated with her refined and timeless appearance. Over the years, those tailored coat dresses became part of her visual identity. One appearance in 2017 stood out in particular. The fitted shape, the classic hemline, the perfectly matched hat and clutch, every detail felt intentional and polished. It was widely praised as a defining royal style moment. Then, just 3 months later, Meghan attended one of her first major royal engagements wearing a coat.
it didn't make sense to not be just doing what everyone else was doing, which was trying to be supportive, knowing what was going on with my dad and whatnot.
Meghan went on to clarify that she didn't tell the story to disparage Kate, but to make a point that she didn't feel protected by the royal institution.
It was a really hard week of the wedding, and she was upset about something, but
Dress that many felt followed the exact same blueprint. The cut was similar. The styling approach mirrored Catherine's. Even the accessory pairing followed the same elegant formula. To some viewers, it looked like a coincidence. To others, it felt like a deliberate echo of an already iconic look. And that single appearance opened the door to a much bigger debate about image, influence, and where inspiration crosses the line into imitation. Fashion journalist Elizabeth Holmes pointed out the resemblance right away. According to her coverage, the similarities were hard to miss. She noted that it almost looked like Meghan had carefully studied Catherine's appearance and rebuilt it detail by detail. The fabric wasn't the same, the designer label was different, but the final impression? Very close. Royal watchers noticed immediately, and the reaction online was fast and blunt. Some comments tried to stay balanced. One observer wrote that Meghan is free to wear whatever she likes, but a coat dress alone won't recreate Catherine's natural polish. Others were less gentle. What stood out most, though, was that this didn't feel like a one-time overlap. It marked the start of what critics described as a long-running pattern. Over time, more comparisons surfaced. The similarities kept stacking up. Even people who supported Meghan found it difficult to call every instance a coincidence. The bigger question became whether this was simply shared taste or a deliberate strategy. Take what some fashion watchers called the blue strategy. Catherine became strongly associated with a very specific shade of royal blue, not navy.
she owned it, and she apologized, and she brought me flowers and a note apologizing. What was hard to get over was being blamed for something that not only I didn't do, but that happened to me, and the people who were part of our wedding going to our comms team and saying, I know this didn't happen.
The Duchess of Sussex also revealed that she was always told to stay silent, a similar sentiment royal expert Katie Nicholl shared with ET.
Not bright cobalt, a balanced, rich royal blue that photographs beautifully and stands out without feeling loud. She wore it at major moments, including her engagement announcement and high-profile meetings. Over the years, that color became closely linked to her public image. When audiences saw that shade, many immediately thought of the Princess of Wales. Then Meghan's wardrobe began featuring that same distinctive blue. Not once, but repeatedly. After joining the royal family, she appeared in the same tone at multiple events. Fashion blogger Emma Louise observed that Meghan's use of royal blue increased noticeably during that period. The shade was remarkably close close to Catherine's go-to color. Supporters saw it as smart styling. Critics saw it as imitation. When Catherine wore the color, it felt seamless. When Meghan wore it, comparisons followed almost instantly. One analyst summarized it sharply. Catherine made the color part of her identity. Meghan seemed to adopt it after the fact. Whether fair or not, the contrast fueled ongoing debate. Then there was the pearl pattern. Catherine's connection to pearls has long been part of her royal image. From the late Queen's pearl earrings to classic drop necklaces and understated bracelets, pearls became a quiet symbol of continuity. They tied her to previous generations while still fitting her modern look. Pearls on Catherine often felt traditional and effortless. After Meghan's marriage to Harry, pearls began appearing more frequently in her own wardrobe. Not just subtle accents, but classic pearl pieces similar in style to those Catherine had popularized again. Jewelry expert Ella Kay noted that Meghan's pearl selections increased significantly after 2018. At one high-profile wedding, the side-by-side comparisons became especially noticeable. Catherine wore delicate pearl earrings. Meghan chose larger, more dramatic versions. Both were elegant, but the styling message felt different. Critics argued that Catherine's pearls looked timeless and inherited, while Meghan's appeared newly selected with intention. Supporters pushed back, saying pearls are a staple in royal fashion and hardly belong to one person. Still, the conversation kept circling back to the same theme. Was this shared tradition or visual mirroring? The pattern extended into maternity style as well. Catherine's pregnancy fashion drew global attention. She leaned into tailored coat dresses with gentle empire waists, modest hemlines, and coordinated accessories. Even while expecting, her looks were polished and consistent. Many fashion observers praised her ability to balance glamour with formality. Those outfits became reference points for royal maternity wear. When Meghan announced her pregnancy, there was anticipation that she might introduce a new direction. As a former actress with a strong personal style, expectations were high. Yet, as her maternity wardrobe unfolded, familiar elements appeared. The structured coat dresses returned. The empire waistlines echoed Catherine's previous looks. The color coordination followed a similar formula. On paper, these were classic, appropriate choices. But visually, the parallels were hard to ignore. The awkward part wasn't that Meghan wore coat dresses or pearls or royal blue. Those are staples of royal fashion. The tension came from timing and repetition.
What was hard to get over was being blamed for something that not only I didn't do, but that happened to me.
Meghan Markle is setting the record straight, telling Oprah the real story behind the infamous tabloid tale.
Each time a similar silhouette or shade appeared, it added to the narrative that Meghan was stepping into an already defined visual lane rather than carving out her own. Whether intentional or coincidental, the comparisons became part of the broader story. By this point, the debate had shifted beyond simple fashion overlap. It became about identity, branding, and public perception. Catherine had spent years building a recognizable style language. Meghan entered a space where that language was already firmly established. Every shared element invited scrutiny. Every matching detail sparked another round of analysis. And as the list of similarities grew, so did the conversation around what it all meant. During her pregnancies, Catherine's fashion choices were often described as natural and comfortable. She dressed in ways that complemented her changing figure without drawing unnecessary attention. Fashion analyst Alicia Brunker once observed that Catherine dressed for her body during pregnancy, while Meghan seemed to dress with the cameras in mind. That difference, critics argued, showed up in photos. Catherine appeared relaxed and steady. Meghan appeared highly aware of the moment. One outfit in particular sparked intense discussion. Meghan wore a dark coat dress that emphasized her baby bump in a way that reminded many viewers of a similar look Catherine had worn while expecting Princess Charlotte. Side-by-side comparisons spread quickly online. Some commenters joked that imitation may be flattering, but this felt excessive. Others defended Meghan, saying maternity fashion naturally overlaps. Still, the conversation added to the growing list of visual parallels people were tracking closely. Then came what observers called the children's charity pivot.
Reports that Meghan wasn't allowed to do this interview 2 years ago, when she was certainly being courted by many high-profile members of the media. Reports that Gayle King wanted to do a sit-down and Meghan was told she wasn't allowed to do that. I think we're going to hear much more from Meghan in the Oprah interview about losing her voice and how she felt she lost her voice when she was.
Catherine built much of her public work around early childhood development. She didn't simply attach her name to organizations. She commissioned research, launched long-term initiatives, and spent years deepening her understanding of child psychology. Her early years project became central to her royal identity. When she spoke about attachment theory or early brain development, experts noted she sounded informed and engaged. The consistency reinforced her credibility. When Meghan joined the royal family, many expected her to continue focusing primarily on women's empowerment, a topic she had publicly supported for years. Instead, children's causes began appearing more prominently in her portfolio. While not her only focus, the overlap with Catherine's signature work was noticeable. Commentators questioned whether the shift was organic or strategic. Some believed it was a natural expansion of interests. Others felt the timing was too convenient. Observers highlighted a subtle distinction. Catherine often asked detailed, specific questions during charity visits, signaling long-term involvement. Meghan's engagement, critics argued, sometimes felt more surface level. Whether that perception was fair or not, the comparison stuck. Public audiences tend to sense when commitment feels lived in versus newly adopted, and that perception shaped the narrative. The comparisons extended into casual fashion as well. Catherine reshaped expectations around royal off-duty style. Her fitted jeans, striped tops, and simple white sneakers became iconic during school events and sports days. She balanced relatability with Polish. Her look at one school sports day, skinny jeans, striped top, and clean sneakers, quickly circulated as an example of modern royal casual wear.
A member of the royal family, don't forget, she was forced to close her Instagram account. Certainly there was no shortage of people wanting an interview, but out of the palace, it was a clear no.
Meghan also told Oprah that she doesn't have any negative feelings towards Kate.
I think it's really important for people to understand the truth. I would hope that she would have wanted that corrected, and maybe in the same way that the palace.
Months later, Meghan appeared at a casual engagement in a remarkably similar combination. Skinny jeans, striped top, white sneakers. On paper, these are everyday staples. But in the royal context, the resemblance drew immediate attention. Fashion journalist Allison Jane described the contrast by saying Catherine often looks effortlessly put together, while Meghan's similar outfits sometimes appeared more intentionally styled. Supporters pointed out that striped shirts and jeans are common wardrobe basics. Critics responded that timing and repetition fueled the perception of imitation. Before joining the royal family, Meghan's style leaned more toward tailored dresses and California minimalism. Afterward, her casual wardrobe aligned more closely with Catherine's established formula. Whether coincidence or conscious alignment, audiences noticed, involved years of collaboration, research, and advocacy. The campaign aimed to reduce stigma around mental health, particularly in the workplace. The initiative was a success, with a significant reduction in stigma and an increase in mental health awareness. The campaign was a testament to the power of collaboration, and the importance of mental health advocacy involved years of collaboration, research, and consistent public engagement. Catherine participated in panels, film discussions, and met families facing mental health challenges. The effort unfolded gradually, building trust over time. After stepping back from royal duties, Meghan began speaking openly about her own mental health experiences. She incorporated mental health themes into new projects and interviews. Supporters praised her openness. Critics argued that the timing made it seem reactive.
Wouldn't let anybody else negate it. They wouldn't let her because she's a good person. And I think so much of what I have seen play out is this idea of polarity, where if you love me, you don't have to hate her.
Rather than long planned. Royal commentator Angela Levin noted that Catherine's advocacy developed quietly over years, while Meghan's approach was highly visible from the start. To some, this difference reflected personality and communication style. To others, it suggested image positioning. The central tension wasn't about the topic itself. Mental health is widely recognized as important, but about perceived authenticity. Long-term, steady involvement tends to feel different from sudden prominence. Audiences picked up on that distinction. Family photography added another layer. Catherine's personal photographs of her children became widely admired for their candid, natural tone. With a background in art history and a strong understanding of composition, she often captured relaxed outdoor moments that felt spontaneous, even if carefully framed. The images projected warmth and ease. When Meghan and Harry released family photos, observers noticed stylistic similarities: outdoor settings, soft lighting, relaxed poses. Yet critics argued that the emotional tone felt different. Photography experts commented that Catherine often waits for authentic, unposed moments, while Meghan's images sometimes appeared more deliberately arranged. The Christmas card photos in particular drew side-by-side analysis. Catherine's showed children mid-play in natural light. Meghan's appeared more formally staged. Again, supporters and critics divided sharply, but the comparisons persisted. Even walkabouts became part of the discussion. Catherine is known for kneeling to speak with children, leaning in attentively, and maintaining eye contact during public greetings. Body language experts have often described her gestures as relaxed and genuine. When Meghan began participating in walkabouts, similar techniques appeared: kneeling, extended conversations, physical reassurance. Yet analysts suggested subtle differences. Some experts argued that Catherine's movements seem instinctive, while Meghan's sometimes appeared more camera-aware. Royal correspondent Emily Andrews once observed that Catherine tends to focus fully on the individual in front of her. Critics claimed Meghan's gaze occasionally tracked the surrounding cameras. Whether accurate or exaggerated, that perception influenced how audiences interpreted her interactions. Across fashion, charity work, advocacy, photography, and public appearances, the pattern remained the same. Shared spaces naturally lead to shared choices. Yet when similarities accumulate, people begin to question intention. For some, Meghan's approach represented adaptation to royal norms. For others, it signaled imitation rather than originality. In the end, much of the debate centered not on what was worn or said, but on how it felt to the public watching closely. Some critics summed it up this way: Meghan's moments often felt like photo opportunities with scripted spontaneity. You can mirror gestures, you can repeat techniques. But authenticity is harder to replicate, and that's where many observers felt the difference showed. Take diplomatic dressing, often cited as one of Catherine's strengths. Over the years, she has built a reputation for wearing designers from the countries she visits, incorporating national colors, and selecting jewelry with cultural meaning. It's a subtle sign of respect that host nations tend to appreciate. When she visited Poland, she highlighted Polish designers. In Germany, she nodded to national colors. In India, she chose pieces that honored local traditions without crossing into appropriation. The approach felt thoughtful and well-researched. During the Australia tour, Meghan followed a similar formula. She wore Australian designers and incorporated local elements into her wardrobe. On paper, that aligns perfectly with royal protocol, but some fashion commentators argued there was a difference in execution. Catherine's choices often feel like natural extensions of her established style. Meghan's, according to critics, sometimes appeared more deliberate, as if checking off diplomatic expectations rather than blending them seamlessly into her aesthetic. One Australian journalist described it as the difference between wearing a designer because it fits your identity and wearing one to prove cultural awareness. Subtle, but noticeable. The same debate resurfaced around motherhood messaging. Catherine has long centered her public work on early childhood and parenting. She has spoken openly about the emotional challenges of motherhood and the importance of early bonding. Her early years initiative grew from that personal foundation. Over time, she developed a consistent narrative grounded in research and experience. When Meghan became a mother, she also spoke about parenting, mental health, and the pressures of pregnancy. Observers quickly noticed overlapping themes. Discussions of maternal well-being, bonding, and emotional strain echoed topics Catherine had highlighted for years. Some saw this as natural. Many parents share similar concerns. Others felt the similarities were too close in tone and timing. The difference, critics argued, lay in development. Catherine's narrative unfolded gradually over multiple years and engagements. Meghan's messaging appeared more immediate and highly visible. Intent is difficult to measure, but perception shapes public reaction. Then came what some commentators described as the most sensitive area: positioning within the royal hierarchy. Catherine is married to the future king. That constitutional reality shapes her role and responsibilities. Over time, she has taken on increased visibility and preparation consistent with that path. During Meghan's time as a working royal, observers sometimes suggested she positioned herself as a parallel figure rather than a supporting one. Body language experts analyzed joint appearances and noted moments where Meghan appeared eager to share equal focus. Supporters viewed that as confidence. Critics viewed it as misunderstanding protocol. After stepping back from royal duties, Meghan continued to operate in a way that some felt signaled competition from afar. Announcements, media appearances, and public projects were often compared side by side with Catherine's engagements. Royal historian Hugo Vickers once remarked that the two roles were never identical. One remains within the constitutional structure, preparing for future responsibilities. The other chose a different path. That distinction, many argue, defines the contrast. Media strategy added another layer. Catherine's approach to press coverage has evolved steadily. She releases family photographs she often takes herself, participates in official events, and maintains firm but quiet boundaries around her children's privacy. The balance has helped her maintain strong public approval. Meghan's media strategy has been more assertive. Interviews, documentary projects, legal challenges, and carefully timed releases shaped her narrative on her own terms. Public relations expert Mark Borkowski noted that Catherine's strategy tends to invite connection, while Meghan's can feel more controlled. The lawsuit against the Mail on Sunday highlighted those differences. Catherine has historically responded to intrusive coverage through official channels without prolonged public commentary. Meghan chose a more visible legal route, which supporters saw as standing up for herself, while critics saw it as escalating media attention. Charitable patronages followed a similar pattern. Catherine spent years building a focused portfolio tied to mental health, early childhood, the arts, and addiction recovery. She visits repeatedly, learns organizational history, and deepens involvement over time. Meghan's selections during her royal tenure overlapped in some areas, including arts and women's empowerment initiatives. Royal sources suggested she requested certain patronages that would give her meaningful visibility. Charity executive Caroline Noakes observed that Catherine tends to immerse herself in organizational details before suggesting changes, while Meghan was described as eager to leave an immediate mark. Whether interpreted as ambition or impatience, the difference shaped public commentary. After leaving royal duties, Meghan's foundation highlighted causes similar to Catherine's long-standing focus areas: early childhood, gender equality, and mental health. Observers debated whether that represented shared priorities or competitive positioning. Again, timing influenced perception. Ultimately, approval ratings became part of the conversation. In a 2023 YouGov poll, Catherine held a 76% approval rating among British respondents, while Meghan stood at 23%. Other surveys asking who best represents royal values or serves as a role model for young women also showed strong support for Catherine. Even internationally, Catherine's numbers remained consistently higher. Polling experts described the gap as significant. Supporters of Meghan argue that public opinion shifts and reflects media framing. Critics argue the numbers reflect perceived authenticity. Catherine's steady approach, low-profile service, and long-term consistency have contributed to sustained approval. Meghan's more outspoken and media-focused strategy has drawn both passionate supporters and vocal detractors. Fashion journalist Elizabeth Holmes once summarized the broader debate. External elements can be mirrored: clothing, causes, photography style, diplomatic gestures, but internal qualities are harder to imitate. Grace under pressure, patience within protocol, and long-term commitment develop over time. The recurring theme in all these comparisons is authenticity versus performance. Catherine's public image has been built slowly, sometimes quietly, over decades. Meghan entered with global attention and immediate influence. Instead of developing a sharply distinct identity within that space, critics argue she often operated in parallel lanes already occupied. The result, according to polling data and commentary, is a widening perception gap. Supporters of Catherine point to consistent service. Supporters of Meghan point to independence and candor. The public continues to weigh both narratives. You can adopt similar styles, support similar causes, and use similar communication strategies. But public trust tends to respond to longevity and consistency. That may be the central takeaway from years of comparisons. If you found this analysis thought-provoking, let me know your perspective in the comments. Keep it respectful, like this video if you appreciate balanced discussion, subscribe for more in-depth breakdowns, and share this with anyone interested in thoughtful royal coverage. I'll see you on the next one.